Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back to Conan Exiles. Now today, I'm going to be taking a look at the gods, because it's one of the things in the game that gives you kind of a lot of nice little perks here and there, a lot of different advantages, and depending on which god you kick off with at the beginning of the game, then potentially it gives you a leg up for what you want to do. Now, the other thing is that in regards to kind of the various different ones that we started off with, so Set over there, Mitra there, and then Yogg over there. We started off with a significant kind of understanding of where we could find more. You know, it didn't take long for us to go and find, for instance, Nunu the Cannibal to teach us about Yogg if we had started off with Mitra or Set. And so as a result, you know, some of them were a bit further out the way, but as we found them, that was pretty easy. But with Ymir here, like, I've had a look around. I've not just gone in to try and spawn any new NPCs that I don't recognise the names of, but with Ymir over here, like I mean, it was there for me to purchase with points in the crafting menu or in the recipes, the same way that the others can be. But obviously, you know, I've basically only got the various shrines and things unlocked really at the moment, besides some of the crafting like basics. And so as a result, that's sapped out a huge number of points that I had. So learning the religions from other characters can be advantageous, to say the least, at least to get like the first level of stuff for each one. But the other thing that stands out to me is obviously they've got different stuff. So let's take a look at Yogg over here first, considering it's the one that seemed to want to be built furthest from all of the others, because why not? But it's like the stuff that you get, it's not the most substantial, but we'll take a look at the equipment in a minute, because I've got all of the weapons and tools and things over in those chests there, separated out by kind of which tier you get them at. But it's like the purified flesh, if you're going around like pointedly in PvP or attacking people, you know, attacking various bases just for the fun of it, you know, wiping out settlements because you can, then potentially this might be useful, because the cudgel here, or cleaver rather, cudgel's that one, the cleaver that you get at the beginning that you need to get the pristine or unblemished human flesh, human meat, you know, it's not hard to get, it's not hard to use, you can use it as a weapon generally. You know what, you guys have seen me running around with my Setite dagger as well. It's the same kind of thing, and it grants you a pretty substantial kind of food supply. But the thing that stands out to me with this one is like, I've not had a problem with food, and so as a result, a lot of these other bits and pieces, they're right, but they're, you know, we'll take a look at the stats on them in a sec. But overall, this is okay, but it doesn't stand out to me as something that's just really plainly useful, unless you're purely going for PvP and you want to be able to kind of make stuff from the people that you've murdered, you know, food, sustain yourself off them. But let's take a look at Set. Now, you guys know that I quite like Set, although the Setite, I thought the Set, oh, there's the Setite shield. I was going to say, it should be here. Now, I think Set's one of the more versatile ones, because we get the sword and we get the shield, but the dagger's quite nice, and from the dagger we can make, from the human hearts we collect with the dagger, we can make antidotes for poison, which, again, if you're tackling spiders fairly often, like in the various caves and things, if you're having to go back there fairly regularly, if you want to use a lot of poison yourself so that you're having to go and collect the bits and pieces from spiders or from wherever else, then, you know, having the antidote is useful. But the other thing is that whilst you can't make them here, it has to be done on one of the other benches. it grants you access to the snake arrows, which are poisonous arrows, and they're quite good as well. And you know, you guys have seen me use those before, and I've got some over there to take a look at as well in a second. Now, Ymir is an odd one because again, we've got the various clothes here, which are all well and good, but Ymir, unlike the others, Ymir kind of needs or rather, it is needed to one extent or another to make black ice, which is a fairly substantial kind of crafting material in places. And so, but again, he also gets the hatchet early on, and like the granting of ice shards, I think comes from using the Hoarfrost hatchet, because I've not actually, I've picked up a fair amount of ice when rumbling around, but like the only time that I've come across the ice shards is kind of by using this hatchet, I believe. But again, I've not been, when it's been come to the stuff that they've thrown into craft with at the moment, because I've been trying to show stuff off to you guys. I've not been kind of going around and farming as much as just spawning it in so I can build, because I've not had the time, and also because it's just been easier for me to plan out what I'm going to do when I've just been able to access everything. But also, for the first tier, you get the ice shard arrows as well, which again we'll take a look at in a minute. But it's kind of, this one seems like an okay one. But again, if you want to come straight up to the frozen north from the exiled lands, I mean, firstly, I don't feel that's necessarily a great idea because of the potential risk factors involved. The frozen north is a tougher area, even though the environment in this area at least is more hospitable. But it gives you those extra kind of specialist arrows, but again, you won't be able to make them until you actually get up here. But then you got Mitra, and Mitra is very much the kind of protective one, because obviously we've got the ambrosia, which is really, really good for just like healing yourself. But also the Mitran Ankh, which is kind of mace-like and is used to get the lingering essence for that. But then, where some of the others have, we do have the Phoenix Engraved Sword, which is quite a good sword. It was one that I used for a fair amount early on. But then also you've got the in regards to some of the other stuff, you've basically got a well that isn't a well that's easier to make as well. There's more sustainability, I feel, in regards to taking this than anything else, because again, it means you can get access to just by following your religious path. You can maybe do without a well just because you can make that statue. And so for basic survival, I think Mitra is a good one to start with, because you only need to do a little bit, only need to level up a little bit before then you can get hold of that and make yourself a statue of refreshment so that you can just not worry about it. But here are the weapons that we've got to kick off with. So with the in fact, let me just spawn in some basic arrows as well, because I don't know because let's see what we got. Should we let's go for iron arrows as one that's easy for most people to get hold of, because obviously after a certain point, iron sword, and do we have iron Taj? Because I'm just thinking to compare. In fact, let's take the hatchet as well. And the mace, because we've got mace stuff in here too. Just to compare the stats. So the iron arrow does 23 damage with 22% armor penetration, but the Ymir's ice shard arrow does kind of substantially more, that you could potentially get straight away as soon as you build a shrine, because that's a first tier thing. So potentially that's really worthwhile if you're looking to use arrows and a bow. So like cudgel wise though, so that's 22. Okay, so the cleaver is 16 but has reasonable armor penetration. But then the Mitra and Ankh does more damage. But then let's take a look at because the Iron Mace by itself still does more than both with the same armor penetration. So arguably, if you're looking for a weapon from your stuff from your religion instead of some of the other bits and pieces, then it's probably not worth going for either of those two. Hoarfrost Axe, yeah, it does less damage than your normal axe, but it provides you access to the stuff that you need for everything else. And as said, the Ice Shard arrows at tier 1 stand out. And then dagger wise, in fact, I didn't give us a dagger, did I? Iron dagger. No? What's it called? Ah, there we go. That one. So here we've got the dagger that's 1254, 9 with 54, but does let you get those anti-venoms. So I'm thinking early on potentially Im is worthwhile because it gives you two things. Firstly, one to build stuff with, and one to actually make these arrows that do stand out as being substantially better. But let's move on to the second tier, because after you've got the first tier, it doesn't take too long. But most of the others have this have a bit more of a kind of empty kind of this is where we're going to give you our statues, our clothing and stuff like that in regards to the tier 2 shrines. But the things that we get weapons wise, the things that we get items wise are the Yogite Bone Spear and the snake arrows. Now you guys have seen me use the snake arrows. I quite like the snake arrows, and they do stand out as being slightly better than the iron head arrows. But again though, they're still kind of lagging behind these ice shard ones. But maybe that is purely because to get the ice shard ones, they're expecting you to have to come all the way up here. And as for the spear, let's just give ourselves an iron. Where is it? An iron pike? Iron pike. So iron pike, for comparison, we've got 40 and 36 compared to 33 and 18. Or actually, is this a javelin? Let's see. It is a javelin. Crap. Now I need to spawn in. Hold on. So Yog Bone Spear, and then we want a javelin for comparison. Okay, so we've got the Yog Bone Spear, which is 33 health damage and 18 armor penetration, which it does stand out as being better than the javelin. And I use javelins a lot, so maybe it would actually work well with me if I went and started taking advantage of the Bone Spear instead, considering it is a javelin. I thought it was a pike, and that's why I'd avoided it, but hey. Okay, so now we've got the kind of final tier of weapons. We should probably have a couple of other weapons as well. We should probably have the where is it? Iron Axe, and then the Iron Warhammer. Yeah. So okay, so let's take a look at these from the beginning. So we've got the 58 damage to 13 armor penetration, which is, again, potentially, if you're focusing on the religions, on the kind of religious side of things at all, and if you want stuff just early, so you just invest a whole load of points into one thing and then you get a collection of stuff, then, here we go. We've got the serpent stamped Khopesh and the Phoenix engraved sword, both standing head and shoulders above the iron broadsword, which is kind of what you'd expect. The shield, again, also standing fairly substantially higher above the normal shield. Again, though, by this point, maybe you'd be expected to have like higher level stuff explored more anyway because of the tier at which this is. But hey ho. Again, then we've got the Glacier Crack, which is actually really strong. But maybe we should compare it to the Star Metal stuff in a minute as well. And then we've got the Warhammer, which has less in it between it and the Cudgel, but it's still substantial. And so now, though, because I believe the Star Metal stuff is the top of the game now. Star Metal, right. So we want a hatchet, a sword, a hammer, shield. They don't have javelins. We want a dagger. No mace? No mace. Okay. We want the arrow. What's the one with before Star Metal? Probably hardened steel. Can we get a mace from here? No, no mace from here. Okay, in which case we'll just have to leave that for the moment. But let's compare these final tier weapons here, and then we'll compare the other stuff as well. Because also I don't know, I haven't come across Star Metal yet, like in the world. I've used the weapons, but I've not come across like just them in the world. But let's take a look. So this is 85 to 13, which does stand head and shoulders above, which again, arguably in the Conan world you'd expect. You know, Conan's sword was Star Metal, and he was able to basically carve his way across Hyboria with it. So, you know, it's expected that these would be better, but it's just seeing the differences is what I'm interested in. Because again, there's a fair amount of difference, but it's still, like, these still stand up as being fairly good. So, but what I'm interested in is the arrows. Now the arrows, Star Metal arrows versus the Ice Shard ones. Considering the Ice Shard ones kick off straight away, the Ice Shard ones have higher armor penetration, but about half the damage. So they're still not anything to really kind of turn your nose up at, really. But those are the ways that I'm taking a look at it. So in my personal opinion, especially if you're playing alone, then I'd probably go for Mitra first, just for that refreshment statue, and then the next one that I would probably look at trying to get hold of somehow, as and when we find out exactly where it comes from, would be Ymir, just for those arrows. Because the other two are easy enough to get hold of and easy enough to work your way through. But as said, kind of once you've to access ones that you don't have, like this in and of itself was this one in and of itself was costly. You know, 50 points. Like I a minute ago didn't have the Mitran one or the Ymir one, but I had learned these two kind of just by myself, and so as a result, you know, 50 per, if you just buy them, as you know, you start off with one and then you're buying kind of each one of these starting ones for 50, you know, you only have just over 300 points at the moment. You're going to lose a lot of your points purely to the acquisition of these. Afterwards, where it's like, oh well, the next shrine is 10 up, the next one after that is 11, that's fine. But it should encourage you to explore. Go out and find where you can learn these religions, because that way you're going to gain access to more stuff and have more stuff available to you. As said, I'd probably go for Mitra first, because it's the one that allows you that extra survivability and kind of sustaining factor, because you've got the ambrosia for healing. You get that first one, and then if you focus straight away on getting the next one up, you get that stature of replenishment. And so that allows you to kind of carry on as you go. I mean, you only need to get to the second tier of the crafting to kind of go with that. And again, that doesn't take you very long just to get that. So, you know, I'd probably go for that. And then after that, I'd probably take a look at Set, because of the antidote and because you get the snake arrows after that. because, you know, as much as they're not as good as the arrows from Ymir, they're still pretty solid. So, you know, that's the way that I want to go. But obviously the stuff that stands out kind of most as well is the star metal stuff, which we're going to have to look into more and more, because now that we know that with star metal crafting that's what kicks off those new tablets up north. One of the next videos I want to do is go around and take a look at all the various bits and pieces that we've seen. So like the ones in the Black Keep. So that means I'll have to go, you know, quickly run back into the Black Keep, probably God mode it up and smack what is it, Tyrus the Betrayer, Tyrus the Deathbringer, something like that. But we slap him out of the way, and then we'll just go and take a look at the other bits and pieces that are in there, because there were like 4 or 5 of those tablets in there, so that could be 4 or 5 very interesting things for us to pick up, including possibly things that are missing from what we've got at the moment, like the mace, hammer, battle axe, and whatever else. There's one that we found on top of one of the towers up over there, and then there's also one out the back of the Black Keep, right on the top of a peak. So maybe we'll go and take a look around and try and find some more of those. Maybe go and explore some of the caves and things that are still kicking around that we've not been into. But I want to pass it across to you guys. Like, my personal opinion is that there are good and bad things from all of these, and obviously Crom just not taking one is kind of like, especially if you're a role player, makes perfect sense. But if you're looking to be kind of most effective, then it's probably wiser to take one of these 4. And I'm interested to see which gods they bring in next, because there are still some extra slots there, and I'd imagine that they'd want to fill each of them, and there are more gods and things actually kicking around in the Conan mythos. You know, like one that I actually really enjoyed kind of taking a look at in Age of Conan, the first Conan-focused Funcom game that I really got into, was I really enjoyed my Herald of Zotli. And so with that, the kind of sorcery system coming in the future, having that come in at the same time as like worshipping or getting invested in Zotli, that would be a really interesting thing, because then maybe Zotli's items and benefits could be for the sorcery system, you know, because none of what we've got so far seems to really speak to the sorcery. We've got kind of mass murder of humans anyway, or PvP. We've got kind of anti-venom and some other stuff like that, and kind of general defensiveness. We've got kind of a bit of fighting and a bit of building, and then we've got kind of sustaining. And so we're missing out what kind of a focus on the sorcery system, considering that that's what they're putting in at some point, as well as possibly also some more stuff about crafting and thralls. I took a look at some of the stuff that they've said recently, and apparently one of the next things that they're working on, besides the lava focused dungeon and new play space and whatever else, is the thrall system, where we'll get thrall inventories and we'll be able to outfit and customize our thralls to one extent or another, which again also will hopefully fix a lot of the other bugs that we've had with thralls to one extent or another, although it might kill them all off again to begin with. I've been back to my base a couple of times and not seen my thralls, or at least not all of them. I've had a few of them turn up. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that gets kind of shifted around. Maybe it's just that I logged in, they weren't there, and as a result they've been kind of scrubbed from my game file because I just kept going. But I'll have to take a look at a later date anyway, because again I've mostly been up here, where I've got a handful of crafting thralls kind of stashed in places but not active. And beyond that, I've been just kind of doing stuff. So, yeah, but let me know in the comments, which god is your favourite? Are you very much in the same mind as me with kind of the refreshment and the healing from Mitra? Or are you more kind of just focused on the theme? Or did you just like some of the other stuff more? let me know, because as I said, I don't really have a favourite god, because I'm looking to be most effective with stuff in what I'm doing here. So like where I've flip-flopped around between the different ones anyway, and obviously I keep trying to find places to learn the religions and make it work. So you know, there's that. But you know, I'll leave that question with you guys. You know, which is your favourite god? But otherwise, guys, thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comments also if there's something else that you'd want me to dig into next time, or something else, because I'm waiting for Funcom to either tell us more and show us more. But again, they've not done any dev streams. They've been doing their weekly kind of developer kind of blog post, their kind of letter to the community type thing, which is interesting to read. But again, there might be a couple of screenshots or whatever, but not much else. You know, beyond, this is what we're working on, which is kind of from the list that they gave us a while ago of what they were planning to do. So, you know, I'm interested to know what you guys would like me to take a look at next. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care.